morning.
How are
Oh,
you?
good. Thank you so much for having me. Tucker's going to join us for a bit.
That's so great. Yeah.
It's so nice to see you. I miss you. And I'm
Me too.
so grateful to have a little pal chat with you.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. So I will just make like a quick introduction in Spanish, and then I will just start with the questions. Just for you to know, it will be like half in English, and then I will make a quick translation in Spanish, and then we'll continue like that.
Okay, sounds perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Celia. Oh my gosh, Josh, my partner's mom just jumped on.
That's great. Hi. Ok, bueno, entonces, como les decía, el día de hoy vamos a entrevistar a Nychole Lynn de Golden Thread, por si la quieren buscar en Instagram. Ella es de Estados Unidos y vive en Portland y es artista textil y crea unos bordados hermosos. Entonces recuerden que, como les decía, esta entrevista va a estar en inglés, pero siempre se las voy a estar traduciendo al español después, entonces no se preocupen si no entienden. So let's start. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where do you live?
Yeah. So I currently live in Portland, Oregon, and I moved here in 2008. So it's been quite a long time that I have been settled here. I grew up in Roseburg, which is a small town that's just a few hours south of here. It is so gorgeous, so many trees, so many rivers, like so much nature to enjoy. So I grew up spending a lot of time outside, camping, hiking, and yeah, I sort of just made my way up north. Roseburg is directly south of Portland, a few hours. I just have made my way up the interstate, and I love it here. I always think there's got to be someplace else I would want to live. I've been here for so long, but I love that we're so close to the ocean. We're so close to the mountains. Oregon, like half of it is just a gigantic desert. It just has it all. So for now, this is where we're going to be.
That's great. It sounds great. I hope I can go someday.
I hope so too. I hope so too.
Okay, so let me make the translation. Entonces, le pregunté que si nos podía contar un poco sobre ella, de dónde es, dónde vive. Ella nos dice que ella vive actualmente en Portland, que está en Oregon. Ella se mudó ahí en 2008, que ya tiene bastante tiempo que se mudó para allá, pero ella creció en Roseburg, que es un pueblo pequeño a unas horas de ahí, en donde hay muchos ríos y árboles. Entonces ella podía hacer acampar mucho, hacer camping, caminatas y, pasar como mucho tiempo afuera. Después, este pueblito está al sur de Portland, entonces después ella subió y se fue a Portland. Entonces a ella le encanta este lugar porque, está muy cerca del océano, está muy cerca de las montañas, también tienen desierto, entonces tienen un poco de todo. Y bueno.
I love that I can understand a little bit.
That's great, yeah. Sí,
I know a little
un poquito de español, entonces a veces nos puede entender un poco. So now maybe you can tell us a little bit about your studies. What did you study? Did you always wanted to work with textiles and embroidery?
Mm-hmm. So I actually studied anthropology, and I didn't always know that I wanted to work with textiles. I did learn sewing, hand sewing from my grandmothers growing up, and I always enjoyed it, but I never practiced it until more recently. So I don't use my degree at all. I basically chose something that I thought was really interesting and that I really enjoyed, but I kind of knew you're not going to be making a career out of this, but I had a great time. So I'm glad that I chose anthropology. It was a great, very interesting thing to study.
Yeah, I think that too. Actually, it's interesting because I've had like two interviews with people who studied anthropology too,
Really?
and now they like textiles. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah. I guess I've always enjoyed learning about textiles of other cultures, like going to museums, looking at clothing and different things that people have made in the past. That's always appealed to me, but it wasn't until more recently that I started practicing it myself.
Okay. Ok. Le pregunté que si nos podía contar un poco sobre sus estudios, qué fue lo que estudió y si siempre había querido como trabajar con textiles y con bordado. Ella dice que de hecho ella estudió antropología y no siempre supo que quería trabajar con textiles. Bueno, cuando era chiquita aprendió a coser un poco con su abuela, pero bueno, le gustaba, pero realmente no lo practicaba. Fue hasta hace poco que empezó a practicarlo más. Entonces, bueno, hablando de sus estudios de antropología, ella realmente no se dedica a eso. Le parecía muy interesante este tema y por eso lo estudió, pero era complicado hacer como una carrera de eso. Entonces, bueno, en general siempre como que le gustó aprender como textiles de otras culturas, tal vez en los museos, en la ropa, pero bueno, fue hasta hace poco que ella empezó a practicarlo ya, haciéndolo ella misma. Entonces, well, but why are you passionate about it? What does it mean to you to embroider and work with these techniques?
That's such a good question. There's just something so satisfying about it. It's a very long and tedious process. It's very involved and it's really meditative. I just enjoy the feel of it, like the tactile sensations that come with it and the noise that the thread and needle make as they're coming out of the fabric it's like so satisfying to me. So it's just a way to sort of tune everything out, really like get into what I'm doing and relax. It's like relaxing for my mind. Unless I'm working on a pet portrait.
What, sorry?
Unless I'm working on a pet portrait. So those I have to look at a computer while I'm working. So I'm switching between looking at the piece I'm working on and looking at a screen for many, many hours. Usually it's like 12 to 15 hours, and that it can get a little difficult. So my favorite projects are ones where I'm able to not look at a computer. I can take it anywhere. I can take it to a restaurant. I can take it to the park, and I don't have to be staring at a screen.
That's great. I was just reading what Brittany said that Scarlett was asking what was that noise. Yeah, I'm so sorry about the typing noise, but I don't know. I need to find another way to to type everything to make the translation. But yeah, it's me typing my computer. Okay, entonces le estoy diciendo que
Hi, Scarlett.
Que acabo de ver un mensaje en donde me ponen que qué es ese sonido que suena detrás. Y sí, lo que pasa es que cuando ella está hablando, yo estoy escribiendo en la computadora todo lo que dice para podérselos traducir después, entonces suenan las teclas. Creo que tengo que encontrar otra forma de hacerlo sin que suene tan... Pero bueno, solo para que sepan eso. Y bueno, entonces le pregunté a Nychole que nos dijera por qué está apasionada sobre este tema, qué significa para ella bordar y trabajar con estas técnicas. Entonces, dice que le encanta que todas estas técnicas son un poco como un proceso meditativo, que puedes realmente como sentirlo, es como muy táctil, el sonido también, y cuando estás como con el hilo y la aguja y cómo entra la aguja a la tela, es como muy relajante, es como estar en el momento. Entonces, por ejemplo, hay algunas obras que toman entre 12 y 15 horas, entonces es también como algo que no estar cerca de la computadora, como poder alejarte de la computadora y estar haciendo algo que puedes llevar a otros lugares y no solamente, o sea, en casa, ¿no? Puedes llevarlo a un restaurante o a otro lado y puedes seguir haciendo esto. Entonces, eso es lo que nos dice Nychole. So, which persons, places, or situations took you to this path? Maybe you can tell us about some of these experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have a friend, and who had a birthday, as everyone in the world does. And I was trying to think of a gift for her, like something unique. And for some reason, I just thought maybe I should embroider her something. I don't know if I had been like seeing a lot of embroidery on Pinterest at the time. This was the end of 2011. I'm not sure why that was the thing that popped into my mind, but I was like, okay, yeah, let's try it. Let's embroider her like a little elephant. So I did, and the whole process was just so satisfying, like picking out the colors and designing the image and actually completing it. And just that one piece that I completed, like, got me hooked. I was like, let's just keep doing this. It was really satisfying, and I enjoyed it so much. And then I never stopped. I did take a short break, but during that time, I basically held on to all of my supplies. Like, I knew that I would come back to it, even though I took a little break from it.
That's great. I love that. It's been it's been more than 10 years, actually.
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
That's
It's gone by. It's like scary how fast that time goes by.
Actually, I think it's the same year that I started natural dyeing.
Really?
In 2012, yeah.
Oh.
Ok, entonces le pregunté que si nos podía contar un poco de qué personas, lugares o situaciones la llevaron como a este camino, si nos podía contar un poco de esto, ¿no? Entonces ella dice que de hecho ya tiene un amigo una amiga creo, que en su cumple ella quería darle como algo único, entonces pensó, bueno, tal vez debería bordarle algo, pero pues realmente ella nunca había bordado, o sea, tal vez había algo en Pinterest o algo así, pero fue como algo que le llegó a la mente, ¿no? Entonces esto fue al final del 2011 y bueno, no sabe por qué le llegó eso a la mente, pero eso fue lo que hizo y dijo, bueno, voy a hacerle un elefante. Entonces ella le bordó esto y bueno, todo el proceso dice que fue muy satisfactorio, no sé, los colores, la imagen y pues realmente esto fue lo que le enganchó y lo siguió haciendo y luego ya no pudo parar. Entonces, dice que sí tomó en algún momento un pequeño descanso, pero fue muy pequeño, pero después siempre continuó haciéndolo. Y bueno, lo que le decía es que de hecho ya lleva más de 10 años haciéndolo, ¿no? Ya que uno hace cuentas. Y de hecho es también un poco el tiempo que yo llevo con los tintes naturales. Yo también empecé en 2012. So maybe you can also tell us a little bit about your journey as a fiber artist. What are your favorite techniques?
Mm-hmm. So I love, like I mentioned, just everything about embroidery, but there are a couple of stitches that I really enjoy using as of late. So chain stitch is one of them. Let me see if I have an example.
What's the name of it? Sorry.
Chain stitch.
Chain stitch. Okay.
So I did not use chain stitch for like 10 years because I was so intimidated by it. And recently it's the stitch that I've been using the most, I would say.
Wow.
Let's see. I have a tiny example. It's this white here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, esa es una de las técnicas que más usa, que se llama cane stitch. No sé cómo traducirlo al español, perdón.
Yeah. So, but when I first started out, I was creating things that I was more so creating pieces that I thought other people would like. Like I was seeing what was really popular and creating things that were sort of similar. Like when you see embroidery, there are a lot of floral motifs, a lot of flowers, a lot of like phrases and words that are stitched. And after several years, I realized I hadn't made anything that I would want to hang in my own house. And
Wow.
I was like, okay, there's something weird. That's weird. So after I ended up taking a break, when I started up again, I started doing some really abstract work, like very different from what I had started with. And that's more of what I've been exploring recently. So not using any patterns, which I really enjoy, just sort of like sitting down with fabric and thread and feeling what sort of wants to come out. So recently this is actually one of the very first little abstract pieces that I did as I was starting to kind of explore this new style. And it's sort of transformed. I started doing these little brushstroke pieces, and that sort of changed into more like abstract foliage, like flowers and things. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to actually be creating pieces now that I look at, and I'm like, yeah, I want to have that hanging in my house.
That's really great. Yeah. Okay, so let me just translate that.
Okay.
Ok. Le pregunté que si nos podría contar un poco sobre su camino como artista textil, que cuáles son sus técnicas favoritas. Entonces ella dice que le encanta, bueno, sobre todo el bordado, como nos dijo, algunas puntadas como la de cane stitch, que nos enseñó hace ratito, que les traduje. Ella no había usado esta puntada en 10 años porque le intimidaba mucho y ahora es la que más usa. Entonces, cuando empezó creando cosas, primero empezó haciendo cosas que ella pensaría que le gustarían a otras personas. Entonces hacía cosas que veía en otros lados y que eran como populares, no sé, cosas como que veía que le gustarían a los demás, como flores o cosas así. Pero después de muchos años se dio cuenta que no había hecho realmente cosas que a ella le gustaría colgar en su casa. Entonces, después de este pequeño break que se tomó, ella decidió cambiar un poco su estilo y empezó a hacer cosas abstractas, muy diferente a lo que hacía antes. Ya no usa patrones, sino simplemente ella se sienta con el hilo, con la tela y ve qué sale. Y bueno, después nos enseñó hace ratito un cuadro, que es una de las primeras cosas que ella hizo, de esta forma, con este nuevo estilo abstracto. Y bueno, se ha ido transformando. Entonces ahora hace también de pronto follajes o flores un poco abstractas. Y bueno, está muy emocionada de hacer estas nuevas piezas que realmente le gustan y que ahora sí las podría colgar en su casa. Entonces, so maybe, I don't know, maybe you can tell us a little bit, you've told us already, but a little bit about golden thread, or also maybe about your old account, because you already told us that you changed your style, but I know that you used to have another one. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my original account is my full name, Nychole.Alvarado. And I just couldn't go back to it. After I took a break, basically what happened was, and I'm very excited to talk about this, everybody needs to be charging their worth and more, okay? Don't forget. At some point, I became so overwhelmed because I was taking on so many projects and I wasn't charging enough. I was feeling really resentful, like, of all of my clients. I would, instead of being excited when somebody wanted to buy something from me, I would already start to feel like anxious, sort of like frustrated. And I was like, this is not sustainable. This is not how I want to be doing business. This is not like how I want to be feeling. And so I just sort of took a break completely from the end of 2018 to the end of 2020. And for some reason, I just couldn't go back to my old account. When I look at that account now, it reminds me of like all the work that I did that I wasn't super excited about. It reminds me of all the projects that I did that I like resented doing. And so I just wanted to start over completely fresh. I like having that account. I haven't deleted it because I think it's a really nice sort of archive of what I used to do. And there's some stuff that I would do again, like some styles or types of projects, but it just felt good to have sort of like a fresh start and just build things back up with like a new outlook.
Yeah, I think that's good to start fresh and with new energy, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Ok, entonces le pregunté si nos podía contar un poco sobre su cuenta actual que se llama Golden Thread. Se las voy a escribir aquí para que la sigan. Igual está en la plataforma, en la descripción de la entrevista. Entonces, para que la sigan. Y bueno, ella nos dice que antes tenía otra cuenta que se llamaba Nychole.alvarado y era como su cuenta antigua. Eso fue antes de que se tomara este break que les digo donde cambió de estilo. Y bueno, en esta cuenta ella sentía como que ella cree que siempre todo el mundo tiene que cobrar y bien por su trabajo, porque en ese entonces ella estaba haciendo muchísimos proyectos y no estaba cobrando lo suficiente. Entonces se sentía muy ansiosa y frustrada con los clientes y pues realmente no era sostenible. Entonces en 2020 fue cuando tomó este break y bueno, cuando regresó a esta cuenta antigua, ella sintió como que le recordaba esta frustración y no quería realmente como seguir con ella, con esa cuenta. Igual no la borró, la pueden seguir viendo, pero ya no quería seguir publicando ahí. Entonces, por eso fue que ella empezó una nueva cuenta en donde empezó realmente pues, con energía fresca de nuevo. Y bueno, algunas cosas de su cuenta antigua sí las haría otra vez, pero igual se siente bien empezar con algo nuevo, con su nuevo estilo. Okay. So maybe you can show us. Well, you've already showed us some of your work, or maybe if you have some other thing that you can show us, that would be great.
Yeah. So let me just look in my little pile here. So this is the kind of stuff that I was doing before I stopped in 2018. And I always go back to flowers. I always go back to foliage. Like now I'm making them, but they're just more abstract. So there's nothing wrong with this. What's that?
No, I was just saying in Spanish that was what you were doing.
Yeah. There's nothing like wrong with this. It's fine. And I like the techniques and I like the colors, but there's just, it's just, this is more the type of stuff that I'm working on now.
Yeah. I like it.
This sort of, they're almost like brush strokes, like paint. This is one of my favorites. I wish I could show you up close because there are a lot of like really tiny little flecks of yellow and orange in there. It's kind of hard to see. Hi, Josh. This.
Really great. I really like it.
And then this is a pet portrait that's in process.
Yeah, because those portraits took you a long time, right?
They take a long time. They take like between 12 and 18 hours, depending on, this one is less intensive because it's a short-haired dog. But if a dog has like long hair or curly hair, that can really take a long time. Yeah. And then I've also started doing some experimenting with just like abstract sort of shapes and different stitches. This is some indigo dyed floss that I dyed. I dyed this when the very first time I ever met Britt in 2017.
Really?
I think.
Wow.
I think it was the very first time I went to her house and she had a vat going and I dyed some embroidery floss and then I had a silk scarf that I brought. So love that. And then I've also done some experimenting with applique stuff, which, and also making party hats for dogs. Let me see if I have one here to show you.
Okay. Let me translate while you are...
Okay.
Okay. Lo que nos está enseñando, las primeras que nos enseñó era como lo que hacía antes, en su cuenta antigua, que eran más como flores y cosas más definidas, que bueno, no tiene nada de malo, le gustan los colores, pero ahora le gusta hacer más cosas abstractas, como los otros que nos enseñó después. Después nos enseñó un cuadro de un perrito que se ve que lleva muchísimo trabajo, entonces sí nos dijo que le toma entre 12 y 18 horas hacerlo. Y bueno, después nos enseñó uno que tenía algunos hilos azules y nos contó que ese lo tiñó los azules con índigo, que lo tiñó con Brittany, que bueno, ella es nuestra amiga que nos presentó y de hecho también tiene una entrevista, si la quieren ver, la pueden buscar en YouTube para que nos hable del índigo. Y luego también nos enseñó otra cosa con aplicaciones y ahorita nos va a enseñar sombreros de fiesta, creo.
Okay.
Yeah. Sombreros de fiesta, that's so cute.
Thank you. This is one of the first ones. And I love doing these. These were also a more recent thing, and people love them. I love them.
Yeah.
I looked around before Tucker's 4th birthday looking for a party hat, and there just wasn't anything that was really customizable but soft. A lot of hats are out there that are made of like cardstock, like stiff paper. And I was like, no, that's not comfortable. We need something that's something that's soft, something that's like not scary for him to wear. It just, he doesn't enjoy it necessarily, but you know.
De hecho, lo hizo para su perrito y pues no había encontrado algo que no estuviera duro y que fuera como cómodo de usar, entonces le ha gustado mucho y le gusta mucho hacer eso también. I really, really love them.
Thank you.
So, well, I was just curious to know, I saw in one of your accounts that you were one of the first ones who started doing the pet portraits in 2012, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I first got the idea to do that, I looked around everywhere, Googled, embroidered pet portrait, searched on Etsy, and there were maybe like 1 or 2 other people at the time who were doing them. So I thought, okay, this is a really good niche. Like, I'm gonna just get right in there and start making these. And when I first started my portraits, I was just telling Britt this yesterday, it's crazy to think back on. Now they're $289, but when I first started, they were $68. Wow. And then they were $78. And then I jumped to $128, and then like $134, $189. It took me like 10 years to finally start charging for my time. Yeah.
I know.
And now the market is super saturated. Now there are like 1 million people doing pet portraits, and which is great. Like, everyone should have a portrait of their pet. And I can't touch them all. So it's really cool to see all the different styles. There are a couple of people who do this it's called thread painting, and not just painting in the sense of like making things that look like brush strokes, but it's an actual technique. And their portraits are they're like hyper realistic. You look at it and you're like, I can't tell. Is it a photo? Is it a real dog? What's going on? They're incredible. And I like that I've been able to hold on to my own style. I feel like mine are a little bit more, like, they have more spirit. They're a little more lively. They're a little more like abstract, and they have more of an expression to them. And I told myself that I was never going to do any ever again. But here I am, still doing them, but in a way that's enjoyable now. So
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's really important what you say about charging correctly, because sometimes we feel bad about charging, I don't know, a lot, right, or the right amount, and people just say like, oh no, it's too expensive, but maybe they are not aware of all the process and all the hours that it takes to do that. So yeah. I think it's important.
I've been so lucky as far as clients go. Like, if anyone out there, if you're worried about raising your prices, there's a market for everything at every price. I will tell you that for sure. And I've been so lucky to have clients they're like happy to pay. They're like, I can't do it. I want you to do it. And like, I'm super grateful for that. That's right, Britt. Everyone raise your rates ASAP.
Yeah.
It is scary though. It's scary. But the worst that's going to happen is someone might not want to purchase something from you, but there are so many people who will. So it's okay.
I know. You're right. Ok, entonces le pregunté un poco sobre estos bordados que hacía de sus mascotas. que bueno, según yo ya fue de las primeras que empezó a hacerlo en 2012 y dice que sí, de hecho en ese momento solo había una o dos personas más haciéndolo y ella lo empezó a hacer, le pareció también que era como un buen nicho, casi nadie lo hacía, pero bueno, ahora el mercado ya se saturó, ya hay muchísimas personas haciéndolo y de hecho le impresiona que ahora las personas cobran como $289 por hacerte una pieza así. Y bueno, ella empezó cobrando $68 y le costó mucho trabajo ir subiendo el precio, de pronto lo subió a $128, después a 189, pero bueno, realmente le tomó 10 años subir y cobrar lo que debería, ¿no? Entonces, bueno, también nos está hablando de otra técnica que es como tipo escultura, como pintura, como escultura y es súper realista y de hecho tú lo ves y parecen fotos y bueno, ella simplemente se siente como muy feliz de haber seguido como con su estilo y bueno, y también la importancia de cobrar bien, siempre hay un mercado para todo, ella ha tenido como, no sé, como mucha suerte de tener clientes que realmente le paguen bien y que estén felices por pagárselo. Entonces, bueno, todos deberíamos cobrar lo que se debe, cobrar por nuestro tiempo y bueno, eso es lo que nos dice. So, what kind of materials and threads do you like working with?
So I pretty much only work with cotton, thread, and fabric. And I'm not sure I have a example close by. Well, there are really two types of fabric that I've been working on. So this one is the same one that I've been working on for years. 12 years.
Okay.
It's just like a cotton canvas that has a really tight weave. It's really smooth, off-white, unbleached. And then this one is the same type. It's similar, but the weave is a little bit looser. And it also has more variation in the threads themselves. Like there are some speckles of brown and gray in here. I like this too. It's a little bit harder to trace onto if I'm working from a pattern because of all the variation in it. So if I'm doing a pet portrait, I usually will use the smoother fabric. And then I pretty much only use, the brand is DMC. Do you have DMC in Mexico?
DMC? I'm not sure.
Brand. Okay, of thread.
Okay.
I think they're like, I don't know actually where they are based out of, but
It's cotton thread?
What's that? Cotton, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I use them because it's really good quality. There are certain brands of floss. Here's the way that I test the quality of a floss. I'll just pinch like a thread and pull. And if it doesn't come apart, it's good to use. There are definitely some like in-house craft store brands that you just give a little tug and they sort of like come apart. So I avoid those. And a lot of people work with wool. That's kind of a different but similar craft called crewel embroidery, where you work with wool.
Okay.
And then silk is also really popular, but I just like my cotton,
Okay.
my algodón.
Algodón, yeah. Okay, that's great. So, entonces, bueno, le pregunté qué tipo de materiales e hilos usaba para su trabajo. Ella dice que sobre todo usa algodón, tela de algodón e hilo de algodón. Sobre la tela nos enseñó al principio una tela que es la que usa desde hace muchísimos años, que es como una tela que está tiene un tejido muy, muy cerrado, pero al mismo tiempo es muy suavecita, y esa es la tela que usaba desde el principio. Y después empezó a usar hace poco también otra que es un poco parecida, pero el tejido es un poco más abierto y tiene un poco de colores como entreverados café y verde, entonces no es como de un solo tono, lo cual hace un poco más difícil bordar cuando usa patrones. Entonces, si hace alguna imagen o un patrón muy definido, usa más bien la primera tela.
Oh, yes,
y bueno, también nos está diciendo de los hilos, que usa sobre todo hilos de algodón de marca DMC, que me está diciendo aquí Jessie, que sí venden DMC en México, yo no estaba tan segura, que luego no me fijo mucho en las marcas. Y luego ella dice que en general si agarra un hilo y lo jala y no se deshace, significa que es un buen hilo. Entonces dice que también hay algunas personas que trabajan con lana, por ejemplo, hacen como bordados con lana o bordados con seda, son muy populares, pero en realidad ella no los usa, a ella le gusta el bordado con algodón. Okay, so, well, you already told us a little bit that you dyed your threads with indigo, but have you dyed with other natural dyes, or do you use them regularly?
I haven't. I did take a workshop in 2017, a natural dye workshop, and learned a lot of the basics, and I did do some pieces. We dyed, I forget exactly which plants we use, but I know dogwood was one of them. And I did have some floss and fabric that I dyed there and stitched on, but it is long gone and I have not done anything else with natural dye since then.
Great. But would you like to, or maybe not that much?
I guess why not? I'm not super interested in doing it on my own, but like the time I went to Brits and she had an indigo vat going, it was exciting to like experiment, bring some stuff to experiment with. So if somebody else has done all the work and I can like get it on that, oh yeah, thank you for reminding me. So one of my early workshops was actually at Brit's studio in 2017.
Oh, okay.
And she died for me for the class. It wasn't me. She died with logwood, cochineal, and alder cones. And the pattern that I created was an elder branch with some berries on it and leaves and a full moon.
Oh,
so we had a naturally dyed color for each of those different parts.
Really nice to do it together. I think that's what.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Britt.
Okay, so le pregunté si había usado tintes naturales para algunos de sus trabajos o si en general lo hacía, ¿no? Regularmente. Y dice que, bueno, ya nos había contado hace rato que en algunas piezas tenía índigo, pero bueno, también tomó un curso de tintes naturales, bueno, en un curso de tintes naturales en 2017 me parece, hizo algunas piezas también con palo de Campeche y bueno, o sea, tenía hilos, tenía telas que usó, pero ya no lo ha vuelto a hacer. Pero bueno, también con Brittany, con ella también de pronto hicieron como un taller en donde Brittany teñía y con Nychole bordaban. Entonces usaron creo que palo de Campeche, cochinilla y bordaron una luna como con unas plantitas. Entonces, bueno, le gusta como más eso, como que alguien más tiña y que después ella haga como la parte del bordado. Okay, so what inspires you? Where do you find your inspiration?
Mm-hmm. Number one would be being outside and things in nature, like everything in nature. I have an album that's just full of photos of like different patches of moss and like rotting leaves, the colors of like rotting leaves and things. So definitely being outside. One thing I really struggled with when I was first getting started, like I would say the first 5 or 6 years, was spending a lot of time trying to find inspiration in what other people were doing.
Yeah.
So I was looking at other people's work, like constantly on Instagram, seeing what other people were creating. And to an extent, I think it's really valuable to see like what's going on outside of your own practice. But ultimately, if you get too deep into that, you can really start to doubt yourself and not feel so great about what you're doing. So that was something I had to like figure out, sort of a balance between wanting to know what other people were creating, but cultivating like my own creativity. And I feel like what I'm doing now is definitely different than a lot of the other stuff I've seen. And I like that. But yeah, being outside, I think actually like it seems that inspiration will hit when I'm not trying to like force myself to think of something. And I've had to like sort of accept that my creativity, I think, and for most people, maybe this is true, that it comes in waves. I can't like force myself. And if I try to force myself, it's just not a good time. So I just sort of accept now that there are ebbs and flows. Like there are times when I feel really inspired and I'll sit down and I'll stitch every night for like weeks. And then it'll kind of wane and I'm just at a sort of like, I don't know, like an incubation phase where it's like, gotta sort of get strong again and like come back. But yeah, I really wanted to pressure myself to just create all the time. And that's for me, that's like not great for staying inspired. I think for some people, they probably can work like that, but not me.
But I agree with you. I also think that it comes in waves.
Yeah.
You can't be doing it all the time. It's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, bueno, le pregunté qué la inspira y dónde encuentra su inspiración. Y ella dice que normalmente estar afuera, en la naturaleza, con las hojas secas, por ejemplo, o sea, bueno, simplemente todo lo que está en la naturaleza y estar afuera le inspira. Los primeros años ella pasaba mucho tiempo viendo el trabajo de otras personas en Instagram. Y bueno, o sea, está bien hacerlo, es valioso hacerlo para ver lo que está pasando, pero si te empiezas a adentrar mucho en esto, o sea, como en ver el trabajo de otras personas, empiezas a dudar de ti misma también. Entonces, hay que encontrar como un balance entre ver lo de los demás y al mismo tiempo cultivar lo propio y cultivar tu propia creatividad. Entonces, lo que le gusta es que lo que está haciendo en este momento, lo que hace ahora es muy diferente a otras cosas que ella ve y eso realmente le gusta. Entonces se ha dado cuenta que realmente la inspiración llega cuando no la fuerza, cuando trata de aceptar como su creatividad de la forma que llega, porque casi siempre la creatividad llega como en olas, o sea, a veces llega mucho, a veces no, y bueno, no hay que intentar forzarla, a veces puede hacer, no sé, estar bordando cosas sin parar durante semanas y luego necesita parar y como incubar un poco, como que esperar a que la inspiración llegue. Entonces no está bien como querer hacerlo todo el tiempo porque no funciona así, sino más bien necesita esperar a que la inspiración llegue. Entonces, do you think the place where you live is an important part of your inspiration? I don't know, your surroundings, the city, or yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think being close to so much nature is definitely inspires my work, and having grown up with surrounded by so much nature. There's just something, yeah, yes. I don't know. I'm also inspired by like colors of the desert. I've never really been to like the real American Southwest. I've only seen photos of it. But I am still inspired by, I would say like colors and nature. And there's a lot of that here, and it's easy to get to. The city, I was inspired by Mexico City, actually, like how everything's so much more colorful in Mexico than it is here. All of the buildings and like coming back to Portland is a little depressing because everything is gray. All the houses are like gray or brown or white or dark green. It's gray a lot of the year. So yeah, it's good to go new places. I would say like going to new places also can give me a fresh burst of inspiration.
Yeah, that's true.
But being able to walk, Tuck and I go out for a little walks every morning and every evening, and just seeing what's happening in nature, like seeing where all the plants are in their growth cycles and seeing what's happening with the animals and in people's gardens is good. Good stuff out there.
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry?
Sorry?
Oh, Britt said it's a rainbow of gray here. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but you also get rainbows. I saw one from Brit, so.
We do. When there's like blue sky out, it feels like anything is possible. Anything can happen.
Ok, entonces pregunté si cree que que el lugar donde vive o la ciudad donde vive, que sí es una parte importante de su inspiración y cómo influyen en su trabajo. Entonces dice que, bueno, como nos dijo anteriormente, es sobre todo la naturaleza la que le inspira. Como nos dijo, ella creció rodeada de naturaleza, entonces eso le inspira mucho. También el desierto le inspira, aunque bueno, realmente nunca ha ido como al oeste, ay, no sé bien cómo traducirlo, o sea, como al oeste americano, donde está lleno de desierto, nunca ha ido, pero bueno, también le inspira los colores, la naturaleza, que hay mucho donde ella vive. Y de hecho también se inspiró mucho en la Ciudad de México, porque ella vino a la Ciudad de México en octubre. Estuvimos aquí juntas y bueno, dice que todo en la Ciudad de México es muy colorido, los edificios. Entonces cuando regresó a Portland fue un poco depresivo porque todo era gris y blanco. Entonces, bueno, también justamente dice eso, también ir a lugares nuevos la inspira y sobre todo, como dice, ver lo que pasa en la naturaleza, los ciclos, los animales, los jardines de las personas. En general eso es lo que le inspira. So maybe you can tell us also a little bit about your workshops, your embroidery workshops.
Yeah. So I started teaching back in 2017, and I think I taught like 3 or 4 workshops. And then I sort of told myself when I stopped, when I took my break, that I was like done with teaching. I was just done with it all. And then a few months ago, I was talking with someone. It might have been Britt, actually. And they asked me if I would ever want to teach again. And I was like, no, maybe. And then I started to think more about it. And I actually had a friend reach out to me and say, hey, have you ever thought of doing private workshops? Like, would you be willing to do a private class for me and some friends? And yeah, let's get back into it. So I did that. That went great. And then I have 2 more workshops coming up. And yeah, one is next weekend at the coast, and then one the following weekend here in Portland. And we basically go over 3 to 5 stitches, and I teach different techniques, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And it always takes so much longer than I think. In my mind, I'm like, yes, we're going to take 10 minutes to go over chain stitch, 10 minutes to go over French knots. Like, that's plenty of time. That is not plenty of time. So my recent workshop that we just completed, I'm so grateful that I had that sort of like, because I knew, I knew the one person and then it was her friend. So it was like a low pressure environment. And it was so good to be reminded that embroidery takes a long time, of course. And then when people are learning it, it takes a long time. So my next workshops are going to be a little bit longer, and we're going to do a little bit less.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we always think that we will teach everything very quickly, and then we forget about the process. That happens to me too. So
yeah.
I'm sorry about the noise that I'm making with my computer, but it's the only way I have to write what I'm translating right now. So I should really, because someone else told me, but I should really find another way. But for now, I don't have any other.
Okay. I don't mind.
I need to borrow another cell phone so I can type there. Okay. Bueno, le pregunté un poco sobre sus talleres. Ella empezó a dar talleres en 2017, dio como 2 o 3 talleres y después paró. Y después hace unos meses le preguntaron si ella quería enseñar otra vez. Y entonces ella dijo sí, ¿por qué no? Y de hecho le pidieron talleres privados. Entonces tiene 2 talleres que vienen pronto. Creo que hay uno el próximo fin de semana en Portland. Y bueno, normalmente enseña entre 3 y 5 puntadas, diferentes técnicas, es súper divertido. De hecho, al principio ella siempre creía que, pues no sé, que iba a enseñar una puntada en 10 minutos y la otra en otros 10 y que se iba a acabar y que iba a ser súper rápido, pero en realidad toma mucho más tiempo del que uno cree. Y bueno, o sea, al final sí sí necesitas bastante para aprender todo el proceso, sobre todo en el bordado. Um, Okay, I know you need to leave like in 10 minutes, so maybe we can just go to this question. So I always make this question because these interviews are called alchemical paths. Yeah. So I always ask if alchemy means something for you.
Well, I mean...
No, it doesn't matter if it doesn't.
I think in terms of like my work, yeah, I think embroidery for me is a very alchemical thing, and anyone who does it, and anyone who's an artist. I think there's something really special about creating something out of like threads and fabric. And it's like, I don't know, sometimes my inspiration comes from more of like a feeling that I have and not necessarily something that I've seen. It's sort of like I get this urge to stitch, and I know that there's like something that wants to be born. There's something that wants to be created, you know? And I think that's like a very alchemical thing. Just taking, I mean, that all artists are really, you know, taking part in. Taking a feeling and then giving it a physical representation. Putting it out in a way that other people can see it and appreciate it. It's pretty special. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. Bueno, ella se tiene que ir como en 10 minutos o menos, entonces le pregunté qué significa alquimia para ella y ella dice que sí, que en realidad ella piensa que su trabajo es muy alquímico, creando algo de hilos y telas, y muchas veces su inspiración viene más que de cosas que vio, sino de un sentimiento. Entonces ella empieza a bordar porque siente que hay como algo que viene de ese sentimiento y que quiere nacer, que quiere como manifestarse. Entonces para ella eso es algo muy alquímico y bueno, sobre todo sentimientos que se transforman en una representación física para que la gente lo pueda ver y entender. Y eso es algo muy especial. So, do you think of your artistic work as an alchemical path? I don't know, maybe like an activity that can help you heal or transform you in some kind of way?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say it's been a path to, let's see, how do I put this? It's been a way to like practice boundaries and self-worth. You know, boundaries come in with learning to say no to projects that I don't want to do, or no to people that I don't necessarily want to work with. And then, yeah, being comfortable and learning to charge what I should be charging has been important. And I wouldn't have had the opportunity to sort of like flex the boundary muscles and flex the like self-worth muscles if I hadn't been embroidering. I mean, I'm sure I would have, but embroidery has really helped me like get clear on boundaries, how to like interact with people and choose what feels right, and I'm really grateful for that.
That's really great, yeah. Ok, so le pregunté que si piensa en su caminar como un caminar alquímico, que si tal vez es algo que le ayuda a sanar o a transformarse de alguna manera. Ella dice que sí, que su camino es que este camino ha sido una forma de practicar límites y como, pues sí, como la seguridad en ella misma, apreciarse ella misma, decir a veces no a proyectos que no quiere hacer o a personas con las que no quiere trabajar. Y bueno, también sentirse cómoda cobrando lo que debe cobrar. Es como, pues sí, como practicar esos músculos, pues sí, como si fueran músculos o sea, tanto de poner límites como de la seguridad en sí misma. Entonces, hacer eso se siente bien. So, okay, very quickly, what are your projects for the future?
Pet portraits. I have a few of those that I need to get done. And I really want to start doing some bigger pieces. So this piece that I showed, oh, I'm sorry, Checker, that I showed earlier is one of like the biggest, it actually is the biggest abstract piece that I've done. But I actually want to start doing even more large scale things. So I haven't had a chance to just yet, but I've been thinking, I think about it like every day.
That would be really great. I imagine, I don't know, like a big portrait like that, and would be great to hang in a house or something.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just go to the last one, and then I can translate without you, okay. So that can work. So what message would you give to other designers, artists, entrepreneurs who want to follow their dreams?
Do it. You have to do it. If you have something that you want to create, I think it's your duty to do that. And just trust the process. Nothing is really a mistake. Everything is part of your learning and growth and evolution. Play. Try not to like box yourself in and give yourself too many boundaries. Like let yourself experiment and feel okay if those experiments don't turn out how you would like. It's all part of the process. And don't be afraid to ask for what you feel you're worth. It's a big one. Just to say that again for like the third time.
Okay. Well, ok, ahorita les traduzco estas últimas dos preguntas, solo que ya se tiene que ir Nychole, entonces hice las preguntas antes para que se pudiera ir y ahorita sí las traduzco. Thank you very much, Nychole. I will make the translation later, so you can, maybe you can go, and then I can just finish it with everything that you said.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Chio. Tell Mom and Dad I say hello.
It was really, really great having you here, really. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Ok, entonces, ahora sí nos quedamos solos y les voy a traducir las últimas dos preguntas que le hice, porque ella se tenía que ir a las 12 exacto, entonces, si no, no nos iba a dar tiempo. Entonces le pregunté qué proyectos tiene... ¿qué proyectos tiene en el futuro? Entonces ella dice que sobre todo ahorita tiene algunos bordados de mascotas, de perritos, como lo que nos enseñó, y tiene ya algunos en su lista que tiene que hacer, pero también le encantaría empezar a hacer piezas mucho más grandes, como la última pieza que nos enseñó, que no sé si vieron hace ratito, que hasta ahora es lo más grande que ha hecho, pero realmente quiere hacer unas mucho, mucho más grandes, ¿no? Pero hasta ahora no ha tenido la oportunidad. Y bueno, luego... ¿qué mensaje le gustaría dar a otros diseñadores, artistas o personas que quieren seguir sus sueños? Entonces ella dice que simplemente sería háganlo. Si tienen algo que quieren crear, es como tu deber hacerlo y hay que como que confiar en el proceso, ¿no? Nada nunca es un error. Todo es parte del crecimiento y de la evolución. Entonces trata de no ponerte a ti misma límites y trata de salir de esa caja y experimenta. Todo es parte del proceso. No tengas miedo de preguntar y pedir por lo que vale, y pedir lo que vales y lo que mereces. Creo que ese es como el punto más importante. También sentí yo en esta entrevista, como no tener miedo de, pues sí, de cobrar y de pedir lo que tú sabes que vales y el trabajo que estás haciendo. Entonces, eso fue lo último que nos dijo y después se fue. Pero muchísimas gracias por estar aquí. Thanks a lot, Brittany, for being here. Thank you very much for all of you who were here listening to us for the first time. These are just a series of interviews that I make every month. Normally, it's the second Wednesday of every month. So I interview different designers, textile artists, dyers, or weavers, so they can tell us about their path and their story with textiles. So thank you very much for being here. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí. Para los que son la primera vez, para los que nos ven por primera vez, estas son una serie de entrevistas que hago una vez al mes, el segundo miércoles de cada mes, en donde entrevisto a diferentes diseñadores, tintoreros, gente relacionada con el mundo textil para que nos cuenten sus caminos y sus historias. Entonces, muchísimas gracias. Bueno, ya no hubo tiempo para preguntas, pero Bueno, si tienen alguna pregunta se la pueden dejar ahí en los comentarios y yo creo que ella les puede contestar. So, thank you very much. Thank you, Rick. Thank you to all of you who joined. Bye.